Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei married with Koneko part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Though support the ROBOBOY0712 the Snow Wolf for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in description. Let's start this video. Issei and Koneko were being sent to the demon world for some training with high-powered demons. They will mainly train together so that they can still talk and work on teamwork and also create a better bond between them. They were being seen off by everyone from the schoolhouse. They would be taking the train to the demon world and be meeting the devils who they will be training with when they arrive. They have been graciously offered rooms in the Gremory household while they are there for the few weeks. Issei. Well, it's nearly time for us to go, huh? Koneko. Yes, it is. Issei. You nervous? Koneko. A little, but I do have you with me. That will make it better for me. Issei. True. The whole point of this is to improve our teamwork, so let's make the most of it. Issei and Koneko then made their way to the place where they would get onto the train. Everyone was already waiting for them. Rias. Could you two have planned to be any later? The train is almost here. Issei. Then I'm not late. I'm on time. Rias. Geesh, at least try to be early for things like this. Issei. I know. Trust me, I didn't mean to be this late. I had trouble finding some things that were necessary. Koneko helped out, but it still took a bit to find them. Koneko. Did you really need all that stuff also? Issei, holding his carrier bag, looked over at Koneko with her full suitcase. Issei. Are you sure you want to ask me that question? Everyone else snickers a little. Koneko. What's so funny? Rias. Nothing. Anyway, the train will be here any second. Go get ready to board you two. Issei and Koneko board the train. Before they go, Issei is given a kiss by Rias as good luck. They both find their seats, stow their luggage and wave goodbye to their friends as they take off for the demon world. It will be a few weeks before they see them again, and a lot will change in that time for both Issei and Koneko. Both Issei and Koneko both knew from experience that the ride takes a while to get to the demon world. They were the only ones on the train from what they saw, which to Issei wasn't much of an issue. He has spent plenty of time alone with another girl and successfully avoided taking advantage of the situation. For this situation, Issei was a school grade up from her, so he had to be responsible for his actions and not make any kind of move on Koneko. Plus, to begin with, he now had Rias. This story is based after season 4. Issei. So Koneko, do you have any idea of who we will be training with? Koneko. It could be some members from the Gremory household, maybe the Leviathan household. Could be a combination of both, or it could be someone completely different. Who knows? Issei. Yeah. Guess we will have to see when we get there. Issei started thinking of all the possible things they would be doing as training. Deep in thought, he didn't pay attention to his lap, which was now home for the catgirl's head. When he had satisfied his own curiosity, he was suddenly aware of this. Issei. Koneko-chan. Koneko. Your lap is comfortable. Issei looked over to Koneko's tail, swishing around every few minutes for some reason. He had never asked or experimented to see if her ears or tail actually have feeling in them. He had never seen any other catgirl besides her sister. Issei. Hey, Koneko-chan. Koneko. Yes, what? Issei. Do you have any feeling in your ears or tail? Seeing as you're half girl, half cat, I wondered if some things were different. Koneko. Yeah, there is feeling in both my ears and tail. Though, it's different. Issei. What do you mean? Koneko. Why don't you grab my tail and see what happens? Be gentle with it though. Issei took her warning seriously and gently grabbed the middle of her tail. Koneko started fidgeting, breathing a bit heavier. However, Issei here is technically innocent as he has no idea what's going on. He starts petting the tail, getting a feel for the fur. This made Koneko more fidgety and making her breathing noticeable. Once he heard her panting, he knew exactly what kind of feeling she was having. Issei. You serious? That's the kind of feeling you get from someone playing with your tail. Koneko. Yes, and it's the same with my ears too. Happy with your answer? Issei. Silently, you could have just told me. Koneko. Then it takes all the fun away from it. It only works when someone else touches those areas. When I touch my tail for instance, I just have that feeling of knowing him touching my tail. Issei. Is that so, huh? Issei was now thinking if Koneko would be like this for the next few weeks. If so, he wasn't sure how long his sanity would last before he tried to take advantage of her. However, he would leave it to himself and not ask for anyone's help. He could treat this as another training for himself to prevent himself from taking advantage of his other friends if situations arise. Issei and Koneko both arrived safely in the demon world. They were greeted by members of the Gremory household that would take them to their rooms. Issei was still thinking about who their trainers would be. He decided it would be a good idea to ask one of the representatives of the household that question. Issei, excuse me miss. Representative? Yes, Mr. Haidu. Issei. Please, don't be so formal, call me Issei. I wish to ask about who we will be training with here. Will it be members of the Gremory household? Representative. No, I believe you will be taken to where a bunch of dragons are. You will be training with them instead of any demon, fallen angel or angel. Issei. Oh okay, thank you for the info. Issei walked with Koneko and the two representatives to the house. Issei had a hard time averting his eyes from the representatives' chests. Every time he was aware that his eyes drifted, he would get Koneko to hit him just a bit for him to notice, but not enough to actually hurt him. Koneko. Hits Issei again. I saw them drift again. Issei. Sorry. Old habits die hard, I guess. They eventually reached the house with Issei still occasionally looking over at their chests. He couldn't help it necessarily. He had been doing this the whole time and his power is based upon it. However, dialing the horny factor while not fighting is a good idea for his own benefit and the benefit of others around him. Maybe with this, he could talk to Drake about other emotions that lead to power other than horny and anger. He was aware that those two had and still would work, but it doesn't benefit him in the long run. Koneko. What are you thinking about? Issei. Oh, just ways to help myself in the long run. Koneko. Like what? Issei. He'll tell you later. Let's get unpacked first. Koneko and Issei were both in the same room, to their surprise. He was sure there would have been a problem with this. Representative. We are aware that with one of your trips here with the other girls, they didn't feel comfortable by themselves in a massive room and bed. So to make sure it's better for you two, you will both be in the same room. Issei. Oh, I see. I do remember this. Made for some rather interesting sights to wake up to. Well, thank you to the both of you. We should get unpacked. Representative. As you wish. We shall return in an hour to take you to the dining hall. You both must be hungry from your journey. We will get some food prepared in the meanwhile. They then left the room and the two teenagers alone. Issei started to feel tension build, so he started to unpack his luggage. Koneko. So, Issei. Can you tell me what you were thinking about before now? Issei. Oh right, I was thinking of other ways to get power, instead of being horny or angry. I feel something else will benefit everyone, including myself. Koneko. Do the other ways not work anymore? Issei. No, they still work, I'm just looking for other alternatives. Maybe asking the dragons will be a good idea too. Koneko. Yeah, maybe. Though, I'm kinda sad about it. Issei. Sorry. Sad about me trying to change where I can draw power from. Koneko. Yeah. I had gotten used to this Issei, the perverted Issei. A different one, while beneficial, isn't you to begin with. We all enjoy the fun we have with you, even if we say we don't. It's a way to be closer to you. To someone we can really depend on. Even if it does mean we get carried away and stripped down to nothing. Issei. Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, I thought you were a girl that didn't like to feel horny much, but you willingly encouraged me to touch your tail and ears. Places that make you feel like that. Got an explanation for that. Koneko. Let's just say it was all in good fun. And who knows what will happen tonight. Issei was both excited and surprised by that answer. He had never heard Koneko act like this. He understood that she did enjoy him around, though anything deeper than that was unknown. He tossed that thought aside and focused on the unpacking. Stuff that will happen later will be future Issei's problem. Issei and Koneko had both finished unpacking their luggage and were heading down to the dining hall for their dinner. They were being escorted to the hall by one of the representatives from before. They arrived at the dining hall to find Surzich's Lucifer and Venelana Gremory, Ria's brother and mother. Issei. Oh, hello you two. It's nice to see you both again. Koneko. Yes, it is good to see you both again. Issei and Koneko both sat down next to each other, with Koneko being between Issei and Venelana to prevent him staring. Surzich's. We are having dinner with you as we wish to discuss how your training will be organized. We have two options for you both that you are free to discuss with each other about. The first option is that we have some dragons come to the Gremory household and they train with you. However, for the safety of everyone, they won't be as powerful. The second option is that you can go to where some dragons live where you can train with higher tier dragons and not risk hurting any innocent bystanders. Regardless of your choice, you can still spend your nights in the household if you wish. Issei. What would be our means of getting to where some dragons live? Surzich's. We can send you there via transportation magic. Issei. Okay, and secondly. In your own professional opinion, where do you think I would be in terms of power with dragons? Greg. I'll answer that. Issei. Drake. Didn't know you were listening in. Greg. As you stand, if you use anger, you'd have power to possibly killing the dragon of dragons. But it would have to be a scale of anger where you thought that girl had died. Issei. Yeah, let's not go there. That isn't exactly my greatest memory. Greg. And then there is your other draw of power. As that stands right now, you'd be on par with a high tier dragon I believe. You have power I didn't think you'd have using that kind of method, Issei. Yeah, well I have a plan for that. One that I think you may enjoy hearing. Greg. Oh. What is it, Issei? I plan on finding a new way to create power instead of relying on my anger and or lust. Greg. Seriously? Haha, about time. I've been so ashamed of being called the boob dragon for so long. Issei. Well, dial it down a bit. It's a theory at this point and we are in front of the Demon King. Greg. Ah, right. My apologies Surziches for intruding. I shall go back to my sleep. Surziches, goodbye Red Dragon. Greg goes back to sleep and the green light on Issei's hand has now faded away. Issei. Well, I think we have our answer. Then again, this isn't just about me. Koneko-chan, want to train with some high-powered dragons? Koneko. Sure, should do well to improve our situations against higher power attacks too. Issei. So we have decided Surziches. We will go to the dragons. Surziches. Excellent. I shall make preparations for you tonight. You will be all set to go tomorrow. We will wake you two up to give you plenty of time to get ready to meet in the main courtyard for the transport. Issei, thank you sir. Finishes his food. Ah, the food was good. Then Alana. Well, if you two have both finished, you are free to go and get some rest. It will be a tough day for you both tomorrow. Issei and Koneko. Yes ma'am. Issei and Koneko both head to their room. As soon as they entered, Issei got his clothes and went to the bathroom to change. He told Koneko that she can change in the room. Issei got changed and came back to the main room, only to find Koneko in only a t-shirt and panties. It's not a rare sight for Issei. He sees this a lot when she is healing him. It's on a regular schedule, but today wasn't one of those nights for healing. Issei. You Koneko-chan. Why are you dressed like that? Koneko. This is what I've been sleeping in recently. Issei. Wait, is that one of my shirts? Koneko. Yes it is. It even smells like you. That's why I like it. Issei. That's so huh? Issei gets into bed and lies down. Almost immediately, he has Koneko right next to her. He could hear her breathing, the fabric against his skin. He kinda shrugged it off and closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. Issei woke up with something heavy on him. At least, heavier than the sheets. Something else was wrong, but he wasn't sure what it was. He opened his eyes to see Koneko on top of him. She must have found her way up her in her sleep. He also discovered why something else felt off. Her hand was on his crotch. Issei. Quietly hey foul play Koneko-chan. Get your hand away from there. Koneko shifted, still asleep. Her face came even closer to his, her lips closer to his. Issei was finding it really hard now to try and refrain from doing things that would be treated poorly. Blood was rushing to his head. Issei. Please, Koneko-chan, wake up before I pass out. Koneko stirred and started waking up. She was also moving a lot. Her tail was moving around, snaking up and down Issei's leg. Her hands were moving around on his chest. Just before she woke up, she moved closer and kissed Issei. He was shocked. He couldn't handle it anymore. He sat up, panting, trying to get fresh air. Koneko. Good morning Issei. Issei. Still breathing heavily. Koneko. What happened? Issei. Jeesh, Koneko-chan. You have one hell of a way to wake me up. Koneko. What do you mean? Issei explained everything to her. Issei. So yeah, that was close to bad. Koneko. I guess so. Though I think I may have done something to you while you were asleep. Issei. Done what? Issei was slightly confused by this. But then he thought about it and he put two and two together. It was almost unfathomable to him, but he was sure. Issei. Nuo, you did not do what I think you did. Koneko. You were so cute I couldn't help it. Issei was embarrassed by this, but he couldn't think about it all day. They both had training to get to soon. Issei thought about the situation a bit and decided that realistically, it was pointless to move to another room to change. He told Koneko to get changed for the day, got changed himself, and the both of them headed down for breakfast. Issei and Koneko both arrive and see a few people in the dining hall already, enjoying their breakfast. They both got some food and sat down at a table and began eating. While eating, Issei couldn't help but think about why she decided to do something like that to him. He had unknowingly slept with Koneko in the past, but nothing came of it other than a small surprise she was there. This time it was different, he just wasn't sure why. It didn't matter right now, he had to be prepared for the training that would ensue for the day. They both ate their breakfast and headed out to the main courtyard. Issei. You ready Koneko-chan? Koneko. Yes. Are you? Issei. We will see. They both arrived at the main courtyard where the transportation circle was already waiting for them. They both stepped inside the circle. Surziches. Are you two both ready? Issei and Koneko. Yes sir. Surziches. When you two arrive, you will be put straight into training. The details of the training I do not have, but that's half the fun. Issei. You really are Ria's brother, Serzich's? Haha, yes. She took my sense of comedy. Anyway, enjoy yourselves. The transport circle glowed brighter, then a flash of light blinded both Issei and Koneko. They could hear the rushing of wind before they opened their eyes. When they opened them, they were face to face with a dragon. Issei. Whoa. Not exactly what I thought I would see when we arrived. Welcome to the land of dragons. You may call me simply trainer, purely for the fact I can't think of any dragon names. Now, wasn't there supposed to be two of you? Issei looked around and found Koneko, hiding behind him. He smiled a bit, then moved to the side to show her. Issei. You know Koneko-chan, it's not really training if you are not gonna face your opponent. Koneko. It's just not what I thought I would see when we arrived. Transporting right in front of the face of a dragon as it is not my idea of a place to arrive. Issei. I know. Excuse her trainer, she will take a minute to compose herself properly. Issei looked over to the dragon again, but he saw the dragon do something. His cheeks were puffing up, like a chipmunk with nuts in their cheeks. He knew exactly what that meant. He grabbed Koneko and jumped out of the way of the fire blast. Issei. Hey. At least give us a warning when you're gonna throw something at us that can turn us to charcoal. Trainer. Do you think your opponents will give you time to think? You've got to think on the spot, be ready for anything. The trainer threw another fire blast at them, which Issei dodged without a second thought. However, his landing wasn't exactly on the graceful side of things. He fell over, with Koneko still in his arms. His hand slipped and landed on her chest. Issei. Ah, sorry Koneko-chan. I didn't mean to do that. Trainer. Too slow. The trainer had flown into the sky and was about to slam his claw into the ground where they both were. Issei had done the one thing that came to his mind. Issei. Drag. Issei activated his balance breaker, the crimson armor with emerald stones shined. Issei grabbed Koneko yet again and took her out of harm's way. Issei. Alright, I've had enough time to dodge and run around. Time for fighting back. Ready Koneko-chan? Koneko. Yes. Koneko turned into her catgirl self and stood with Issei against the trainer. Issei was charging up a shot as the dragon flew towards them. Koneko knew that it would take a bit of time to charge the shot, so she ran forward. Trainer. Your play is smart, but not against me. Koneko. We will see. Issei. You get to tell us that when it fails. The dragon took a swing at Koneko, expecting to send her flying. She rolled underneath the attack, jumped up and punched the dragon in the chin. The hard hit staggered the dragon, stopping it in its tracks. Issei. Koneko, get out of the way. Koneko looked back to see the shot coming towards the dragon. She managed to just get away, but not before the shot skimmed her clothing, ripping some of it. The shot hit the dragon with force, pushing it back. The shot faded out, and the dragon was barely able to stand. Koneko made her way back over to Issei's side. Issei. You all Jirite, a drag. Can I ask a question about the balance breaker? Drag. What? Issei. Is it possible for me to give a copy of it to someone else without the powers, just the protection from the armor? Drag. I suppose it could be possible, though I have never seen it. Issei. I have an idea on how it could work. Koneko-chan, forgive me for where I'm going to place this though. Issei had a mental image about the type of armor he wanted to give, and a small crystal grew in the palm of his hand. He placed it in the middle of Koneko's chest, and it began to expand, taking the form of the armor piece. It was a chest piece made from the same crimson armor that covered all the ripped clothing. While this was happening, Koneko was making odd noises, as if the experience was somehow pleasant. Issei. Well, I didn't know I could do that. Could be useful for later raiding games. You okay? Koneko. Why yes, I'm fine. This armor is rather nice to wear. I'm jealous. Issei. Well, being the wielder of a dragon certainly has its perks. Anyway, how's the trainer? Did I overdo it? Trainer. No, I'm fine, though that shot most definitely would take out any opponent you face in a raiding game, or at least severely damage them. Issei. What? If what you say is true, how come you aren't more damaged? Trainer. I have the ability to regenerate damage faster, at the cost of energy. Issei. Well, that's useful. Well, in terms of reaction speed and thinking on the spot, I've got that. Koneko-chan also seems to be good at it too. Trainer. Not counting all the times you carried her to safety. Issei. Yeah. Not counting that, the trainer discussed training possibilities with the two, whilst also traveling to the proper training grounds. The armor that Koneko was wearing was starting to deteriorate, as Issei suspected it would. Every once in a while, he would infuse a little more power into the armor piece she was wearing, keeping the piece on for as long as possible. When they arrived, Issei said he would prepare a full set for her, allowing for her movement and her attack strength. Discussing with Drake, they both came up with a suitable set. Issei grew the crystal, which was much larger than the one before, and gave it to Koneko. Issei. Here, Drake and I both put effort into making this, going over what you needed. Want to try it on? Koneko. Okay, thank you very much for this. You are being more considerate than before. Issei. You're welcome. Anyway, let's have you try it on and see if anything needs to be changed or adjusted. Issei removed the chest piece Koneko had on. It crumbled to dust, however, it had repaired her clothes. Issei went behind Koneko and put the crystal between her shoulder blades. Immediately, the crystal resonated and began to equip itself. There was a red and white glow, which died down when the transformation was complete. When Issei looked over, the armor had made its own little adjustments all on its own. It had sensors that activated when Koneko became a catgirl. It would make cat ears and tail armoring, as well as amplifying her own abilities. Issei. Wow, that's impressive. I didn't make it so it would adjust itself. Drag. Did you? Drag. No, I didn't. The armor must have responded to what the needs are for her and automatically implemented them. Issei. That's impressive. Well anyway, I suppose I should tell you the details of this armor. It has a charge of my power, but it lasts about 20 minutes. You can activate it and deactivate it all you want, but it doesn't refresh the power. It refreshes naturally when you are close to me, so power is sent from me to the crystal. You can try and infuse your own power. It will convert it and add it to the reserves, but I don't know how effective that is, and neither does drag. Use this as a last resort, as it takes away your energy. The other method I can think of is that it's detached from you and put in my balance breaker so that it charges much faster. Koneko. You have thought about everything, haven't you? You usually run head first into any situation, improvising as you go. Issei. Nothing is saying I won't still do that. Consider this a way for you guys to be able to keep up with me. Anyway, we should go outside, give your armor a test. Koneko. Okay, let's. I'm very interested in how this will work. Issei and Koneko both headed out to the training area to see what the armor can do. Koneko could already feel a tremendous amount of power at her disposal. When they got out to the area, Issei activated his balance breaker. He would act as a punching bag. Issei. Promotion. Rook. Issei's balance breaker transformed. He knew very well Koneko could throw some serious punches without any help from her powers. Having both her powers and the armor that amplified them, he would need all the defense he could get. Issei. Alright Koneko-chan, I think I'm as tough as can get. Go ahead. Koneko. Okay. Thank you for this Issei. Koneko took it easy to begin with. She didn't know the limits of the armor and she didn't want to break it the second she got it. After a while, she started getting more confident, using her own power in her punches. Issei could feel the change in power. With the armor on, her power was upgraded by 10 times. Issei's balance breaker was, thankfully, managing her attacks quite well. Issei. Come on Koneko-chan. Be a bit more confident. The armor can take it. Koneko. Alright, he'll try it. Koneko gave Issei a punch with all her strength and power behind it. The armor resonated with her power before it hit. The aura she had normally was now suffocating. The punch landed and Issei saw all of the aura come and focus to one single point on her fist. Then, she was a dot in the distance a second later. She had punched him about 20 kilometers away. The punch shattered a bit of the armor, but Issei was not wounded. He was more shocked about what he had just seen and gone through. It was a learning experience for both Koneko and Issei. He flew back over to Koneko. Issei. Good hit. Had me surprised. Koneko. Are you okay? I didn't hurt you too bad, did I? Issei. I didn't get hurt in the first place. The armor shattered in the place where you punched me, but no injuries happened. Koneko. Well, it's nice to know the armor won't break on me when I hit someone or something full force, even with my powers. Issei. Yeah. Your aura before you punched me halfway back to the household was really strong. It was suffocating. Well, anyway, looks like all the functions on the armor work out in terms of offense. I guess we should test the defense part of it too, just to make sure there aren't many things wrong with it when we take it actual training against the dragons. They'll charge a small shot and shoot it at you. The armor should hold against that at least. Koneko. Okay, let's give it a shot, no pun intended. Koneko backed off and gave Issei plenty of space to shoot. He charged a shot, but then thought about how Koneko shifted her aura. He decided to try and apply that same technique into his already small shot. He held his hand out and shrunk the shot down to make it nearly invisible. He pictured the shot being like a laser, not an explosion. He then fired his shot. He aimed for the armor on her shoulder, thinking that it would do the least amount of damage if the armor didn't hold against it. The shot landed against the armor and ricocheted up into the sky. While the shot was firing, Issei noticed something. The laser was moving, trying to come back to a straight line. The armor was melting and melting fast. Issei. Koneko, dodge it now. Quickly. Koneko. Why? It's holding just fine. Issei. No, it's not, dodge. Koneko did as she was told and dodged the remainder of the shot. It had indeed melted the armor. A few more seconds and the laser would have pierced right through the armor and her shoulder. Koneko was shocked by this. Issei ran over to her to make sure she was alright. Issei. You okay, Koneko-chan? Koneko. Yeah, I'm okay. Startled, but okay. Issei. Yeah, I had the idea to put something into action. Sorry, guess that's something the armor can't handle for too long. Koneko. What did you do differently? Issei. Well, when you punched me, I saw all your aura shift to your fist as you punched. I tried to do the same thing, with the forming and the release of the shot, making it more of a laser than an explosion. So against a normal one of my shots, the armor should have held just fine. Issei looked at where the armor had nearly pierced through. It had made a small hole, no bigger than the width of a finger. Issei decided he would check the area himself. Issei. Hey Drake, do you think you can make a copy of the piece that was damaged? Just the shoulder. Drake. You have been asking a lot of me lately. What for? Issei. Even the Red Dragon Emperor needs backup sometimes. He can't have them failing before the fight's over. They aren't cannon fodder. Drake. You make a compelling point, boy. Alright, well, I won't make a copy of it, but you can detach the part and inspect it. Issei. Okay, let's do that then. Issei found a point where he could detach the arm and shoulder piece from the rest of the armor. He took it off and had a closer look. The armor wouldn't have held out much longer, he knew this, but not how close Issei was to hurting Koneko. The armor had melted on the inside, and amount of armor left in the hole was just thicker than a fingernail. Issei checked on Koneko's arm, but there were no injuries, no melted armor on her. He was relieved, to say the least. Issei. That's relieving to know at least it didn't go through. Though, it is really close to going through. Guess we should put the armor away now, let it fix itself on my gauntlet. Koneko. Yeah, I guess so. Thank you, Issei, for being considerate and telling me to dodge. Issei. Of course, I look out for everyone. It's my responsibility to make sure you all are okay at the end of the day. Koneko. Everyone is thankful for that. Koneko turned around and gave Issei a little kiss on the cheek. It took him by surprise. What has happened to this girl when he wasn't looking? Issei stood there in shock of what happened. Seeing Issei's face made Koneko giggle a little. After a while, Issei snapped back to reality, questioning why she did that. Koneko. Consider it repayment for making this armor. Issei. You know you don't have to repay me for it. Koneko. You're being modest. I know, you secretly want more, don't you? Issei. You're wrong. I'm not thinking that. Koneko. Okay, I'll believe you. Issei put the arm back on the armor and took the crystal off. The gauntlet now had a slot where the crystal could be inserted and charged, as well as repaired if needed. Issei had a handful with him, and it surprised him constantly that Koneko was acting this way. He wondered what was happening. Anyway, he would have to keep his thoughts to himself. It happened to be a healing night, and he needed to be prepared for anything shady that she may do. Issei and Koneko both did their training with the training dragon and a few other dragons that helped out. It went rather smoothly, there weren't any major injuries to the two. Nothing more than just getting dirty. After a while, Issei got a call from Surziches. Surziches? Hello? Are you there, Issei? Issei? Huh? Oh, Surziches. Yes, I am here. What's up? Surziches. I am calling to tell you that your teleport will be ready soon. However, we need one small thing. Issei. Which is? Surziches. I'm sure you two have moved from where you two originally were, so I ask if you can give us a signal to where you two are. Issei. How would I do that? Would a beacon of sorts work? Surziches. Yes, however, I don't think we would be able to see it from here. If you manage to make the beacon visible, we could trace to where you two are. Issei. I think I have an idea. Surziches, what direction is the land of dragons to the household? Surziches. I believe it is northeast. Issei. Okay, well, get some people observing in the sky. You'll be seeing your beacon soon. Surziches. Okay, I trust you know what you're doing. We will see you both soon. Issei equipped his gauntlet and looked in the crystal. As of recent, he has been able to use the crystal as a compass. It has been useful for finding his way around with raiding games. Issei aimed the gauntlet southwest and charged a shot facing slightly upwards. Koneko. What are you doing, Issei? Issei. I'm giving Surziches and everyone else in the household a beacon to where we are. They don't know precisely where we are and need extra guidance. So I'm thinking outside the box. Issei thought about making his shot a laser again. It would last longer in the air and less likely to majorly damage something. He fired the shot, focusing on it to make sure it stayed up for as long as possible. Issei. Koneko-chan. Can you call Surziches and see if the observers see anything? I need to focus on this. Koneko. Okay. Koneko called Surziches. Surziches. Hello. Koneko. Hello, Surziches, can your observers see the beacon? Surziches. Yes, we see it above the household. We are just about to set up the circle. If you could ask Issei to keep the beacon up for another few seconds, we should be able to get you back here. Koneko. Great. I'll tell him this and we look forward to being back. Koneko disconnected the call. Koneko. Issei, keep the shot up for a few more seconds, we will be teleported soon. Issei. Huff alright. Issei had started getting really exhausted from the shot. He usually doesn't hold the shot for so long because he can't change the angle once it's been fired. He held on for as long as he could, and as soon as he was about to fall from exhaustion, the two were teleported back into the main courtyard. Issei collapsed as soon as they arrived, breathing heavily. Koneko. Issei. Are you okay? Issei. Yeah, I'm okay. Just, out of breath. Surziches. From the sounds of it you must have used up a lot of energy. Issei. I don't know about that, I think it's mainly the fact that I have never held the shot for so long. It used up a lot of stamina. Surziches. Well, if that's the case, why don't you two go and have a bath before dinner? We will talk about what you did in your training today. Issei. Okay, thank you. Koneko helped Issei to his feet and assisted him to their room. She sat him down on the bed and sat next to him. Issei was still breathing heavily, but it was better than before. Not long after, his breathing returned to normal. Issei. Thanks Koneko-chan. Koneko. It's okay Issei. Are you okay now? Issei. Yeah, my breathing is back to normal at least. My clothes are really dirty though. I'm liking Surzich's offer to the bath. I'll head off to the bath first. I'll try not to take too long. Silently so I can avoid an incident like what happened when Grafia was in the bath, drunk. Issei got up, stumbling a bit. He got some clothes to change into when he was done and headed off. When he arrived at the bath, he undressed and put a towel around his waist. He saw that no one else was in the bath, so he had the whole bath to himself. He walked in and the hot air hit him like a ton of bricks. It was a nice temperature compared to the temperature outside. He headed over to the body wash station first before heading into the bath. He sat down and washed himself off. It felt refreshing after the hard day of training, as well as having to deal with a catgirl that is prone to losing her clothes. Issei. Just to myself, her body does look good. Her boobs are starting to take shape too. In a few years' time, she could be on par with a Keno maybe. Koneko. Who are you talking about? Issei. What? I said what are you doing in here? I thought I said I would take a bath first. Koneko. I don't mind bathing with Issei. You would have done worse with Ria's, right? What's wrong with doing something like that with me? Issei. Well you see. Koneko. Sigh anyway, let me wash your back. Issei. You're not gonna leave here regardless. Alright, fine. Koneko went over, got a sponge and the soap, and started washing his back. Issei knew something wasn't right, so while she was washing his back, he was talking with Drake telepathically. Issei. Hey Drake, is it possible Koneko-chan is under some sort of magic that's making her more forward? Drake. It is entirely possible. I've been observing too and I agree. This isn't normal for this girl. Issei. Is there something I can do? A way to fix it? Drake. I do have an idea, but it goes against my principles and I dislike the idea. Issei. It's something that's related to doing it, isn't it? Greg. Yes partner, it is. Issei. Damn it. And here I was trying to find a different way to power up, not falling into the same habits. Greg. If I may say something to help you here. You do have a power-up option that works well, despite me liking it. Even though the curse is gone, your life would be in danger if you initiated Juggernaut Drive off of anger, so if you use anger, you would have to be careful to not be too angry to have an incomplete transformation again. You could work on increasing your base power, similarly to Sarah Ergen training. What I'm trying to say is, work on something else, but don't abandon something that already works. Issei. Dreg. Alright, I will. Thank you Dreg, I appreciate the help. Dreg. You have been asking for help a lot, I guess it is nice to talk every once in a while, help my user. Though you need to hurry up finding a different way to power up, instead of relying on Ria's boobs all the time. Issei got up and looked at Koneko when he noticed something in her eyes. Her pupils had changed into a heart shape. He knew something wasn't right about that, he knew some sort of magic was at work here. However, he didn't raise any concern to it, just in case, it makes the situation worse. He had to figure out a way to at least get rid of the spell. Issei. Thinking well, her being like this is a bit refreshing. No, this is Koneko-chan I'm talking about. I have to find a way to fix this. I think there may be a way to undo the spell, but Koneko-chan is definitely going to punch me later for it. Koneko. Issei. What are you doing? Issei. I'm pretty clean now, I'm going to wash you off instead. Koneko. Okay then. Koneko sat down and Issei picked up the sponge and soap. He started washing her back, then moved to the front, washing her stomach. He then moved up to her chest, making her begin to make sounds. Issei was doing his best to keep his cool. The last thing he needed was to pass out and run the risk of Koneko doing something to him. Koneko? Ah, Issei. That's good, but I'm pretty sure I'm washed now. Issei. I'm sorry Koneko-chan. Forgive me for this. Koneko? If you keep going my head feels fuzzy. Issei. Don't worry Koneko-chan. You're in good hands, despite what you may think later. Issei kept going, not being too rough with her. She eventually started shaking and collapsed to the ground. Issei's heart was beating crazily. His hands were shaking. He was close to collapsing from the blood rushing to his head. He was lucky that Koneko beat him to it. He sat down, catching his breath for the second time today. Issei. Well, she is out for now. I lie her down next to me, on the side of the bath while I bathe. That's better than just leaving her like this. When she wakes up, I'll check her eyes and see if they are back to normal. If not, I'll talk to Surziches and Venelana about what kind of magic could be at play here and how to dispel it. Issei picked up Koneko and placed her on her back on the side of the bath. Issei got in and relaxed a bit. Issei just started thinking about what happened when Koneko came to. Koneko? Huh? What happened? Issei. Koneko. You're awake. I'll explain what happened, but first, I need to see something. Let me see your eyes. Koneko? Okay looks at Issei. Issei. Still not fixed, guess I will need to go to Surziches later. Anyway, when you came into the bath, the heat got the better of you and you passed out. I picked you up and put you there. You're welcome to come in now, I was just about to get out. Koneko? You're not gonna stay here with me? Issei. If I stay in any longer I'll turn into a prune. I'll see you at dinner. Thinking for now, I need to have a word with those two about who's behind this. Issei went back to their room, got changed into some clean clothes, and went to find Surziches and Venelana. He had hoped that they would be able to figure out a way to fix this whole mess. He headed first to the dining hall. The cooks were beginning to bring food to the table. Issei went up to one of the cooks and asked where they are. Issei, excuse me sir. Do you know where Surziches and Venelana are? Cook. I believe he is in his personal room with her. I think they are working on something in private. Issei. Okay, thank you very much. Issei didn't know exactly where Surziches' room would be, but he got a pretty good idea when he saw a massive double door, crusted with gold and gems. Issei. Could you make it any more obvious? I mean, I know you're king, but you could be a little discreet. Ah well. Knocking hello. Surziches. Venelana. Can I talk to you for a second? Surziches. Issei, is that you? Issei. Yes sir, it is. Surziches. Alright, come in. Issei opened up the doors and saw that the doors matched the interior of the room. The room was sparkling with gems and gold. The bed also was covered in them. Issei. Wow, how do you sleep in here? It's so bright. The gems reflect off one another. It's like an endless cycle. Surziches. I know, it is very. I'm glad someone else gets it. But everyone else down here insisted I have the very best for my own personal quarters. Venelana. Because that's what you deserve as king. Surziches. Yes, yes. Now, Issei. Is something wrong? Issei. As a matter of fact, there is something wrong. Something with Koneko-chan. She has been acting weird ever since we got down here. She's more clingy, more brave, more forward, and weirdest of all, her pupils are the shape of hearts. Can magic be the cause of this? Surziches. This is a problem. I am not aware of any magic like this, purely because I don't study that kind, nor work on it personally. However, Venelana. Do you know anything that may cause this? Venelana. It's hard to get a definition from what you have said, but it is likely that whoever did this did it before you arrived here. For now, you will have to make the best out of this bad situation. I will get a look at her at dinner and tell you afterwards what I have found out. Issei. Okay, thank you both. I appreciate the help. I guess I will take your advice Venelana and make the best of this. Issei walked back to his room, where Koneko was. She still had hearts for eyes, nothing changed there. Issei wondered if she was doing this of her own free will, or if she was aware of what was going on and couldn't control herself. If it was the second option, Issei was in for it when she snapped out of it. He would never live to see the next day. But that was future Issei's problem. He had to focus on what Koneko was going to do, which hopefully would be nothing, or at least nothing major. Issei. Koneko. You didn't stay in the bath long. Koneko. No, I don't like water much anyway when I'm by myself. I deal with it better when I'm with others. Issei. Oh, is that so? Okay, well maybe tomorrow we will go for a normal bath. Silently, hopefully normal. Koneko. Really? Issei. Yeah, of course. Just, make sure you wear something decent. Like a swimsuit at least. Koneko. Okay, fair enough. Though the same goes for you too. Issei. Wasn't going to just wear a towel knowing you were coming in, jeesh. I have some sense. Anyway, it's nearly dinner time. We should go to the dining hall. Koneko. Alright, I am pretty hungry from all the training. Oh also, it's a healing night tonight huh? After dinner, I'll heal you. Issei. Oh, that's right. You sure we can't skip a night every now and then? Koneko. It's not something you can skip Issei. Tonight you will be healed. Issei. Sigh alright. Let's focus on dinner first. Come on. Issei and Koneko both make their way to the dining hall. On the walk there, Issei felt Koneko right next to him, their hands brushing past each other every once in a while. Eventually, Koneko just decided to hold Issei's hand. Issei was surprised about this, however, he didn't say anything about it. He knew he shouldn't get any ideas by this because she was under some spell. If he ignored it, pretended he didn't notice, then maybe she would get the idea and or Issei wouldn't get any ideas about this whole situation, even though his head was full of them already. However, he wasn't able to get into full details before they both arrived. Surziches. Welcome, both of you. I hope your first day of training was a pleasant one. Issei. It wasn't bad, no. Except for the first part when we arrived. Apart from that, I learned a few things that will be useful. Surziches. Koneko, did you learn some new skills? Koneko. Yes, I did. Issei helped me work on them as well. Surziches. Seems like the first day was a success. Well, you both must be hungry. Enjoy your dinner. The four of them started eating their dinner. Issei did see that Benelana was studying Koneko very carefully, however being sure to not be noticed. She would find something out and then whisper it to Surziches, who would then have a small discussion about the new fact. Issei knew he would get a rundown of the finding later. For now, he was famished and there was a buffet right in front of him. After everyone had eaten enough, Koneko went back to their room to get some rest. Issei stayed back to listen to what the other two had found out. Issei. So how much did you find out? Is there a way to fix this? Benelana. Unfortunately, not tonight. She has a curse on her that appears to only be active when you're around. However, if I were to study her more, I could find a way to break the curse. Issei. A curse? Who would put a curse on Koneko? Well, you said it would have to be someone from before we came down here, so that limits it to Akeno, Riaz, Asia, Zenobia, Kiba, Irina, Gasper and everyone else. But about the only person I can think of that would do this would be Akeno, maybe. But I don't think she knows any magic like that. God, this is confusing. I don't know who could be behind this at all. Surziches. It will be figured out in time. Perhaps Benelana can come into your room when you two are sleeping and study her, figure out who placed a curse and where they are, as well as how to break it. Would that be okay with you? Issei. It seems a little weird, but please do. Also, Benelana. If Koneko has her hands anywhere they shouldn't be, can you just move them away? I don't need another wake up like today's. Benelana. Fufu, of course. Issei. Sigh. Well, tonight is a healing night for me, so I suppose I shouldn't keep Koneko waiting too long before she drags me back. I'll be going back to my room. Thank you too for your help in this issue. I'll see you tomorrow. Issei walked back to his room, guessing in his head that Koneko was going to have something ridiculous on, or rather, not on. Being a teenage boy, the thought made him excited. But knowing it is Koneko, he knew he shouldn't take advantage of her in the state she is in. Issei opened the door to his room and saw Koneko on their bed, with just her shirt on. At this point, not a surprising sight really for this. Issei was calm and walked over to her. Issei. You're ready for this? Koneko. Well, you do need your healing, so of course I need to be ready for it. Issei. Alright, well I'm here now, we may as well get started now. Koneko. Alright then, get up on the bed and hold me. Issei got up and held her tight, feeling her breath on his neck. Issei could feel the slight warmth of Koneko's aura as she started healing him. Koneko wasn't like Akeno, back when she had to suck excess power from him through his finger, that made it somewhat. Koneko's healing was just a warm embrace. Issei enjoyed the feeling, but the situation kinda ruined it for him. Koneko tried to be a bit sly and press her chest up against his. Issei. Let me guess, you're gonna say more skin contact helps with the healing. Koneko. Yes, it does help, actually. Issei. Is that so, huh? Koneko. Yeah, though I have never done that prior to this because there were always other people around, like Riaz and Asia. However, because none of them are here, I can heal you a bit better without having to restrain so much. Issei. Is restrain the best word to use in this scenario? Koneko. I suppose not, but that's just the word that popped into my head at the time. Issei. Alright, well you know what, I'm going to just lay down, you can find the position you need to be in for the healing to be better, and I'll hold you if need be. Koneko. Alright. Issei laid down on the bed, nervously waiting for Koneko to do something. He hoped the curse wouldn't make her do something stupid, like trying to strip him completely or stripping herself completely. However, the latter he could work with because right now, he had enough self-control to not do anything to this cute cat girl. Issei felt Koneko get on top of him, however, he could also feel that she wasn't wearing her shirt anymore. He told himself to not look anywhere bad and to just close his eyes and just enjoy the embrace. Issei would admit one thing, he could feel the aura was stronger now. So maybe what she was saying wasn't just the curse. Regardless, he just laid down on the bed, with Koneko healing him. Issei. Thinking crap, this is not good. I can feel her entire body, her exact shape being molded into my skin. If this keeps up for too much longer my sanity is going to go out the window. Focus on something else, come on, what else is there to focus on? The aura, just picture the aura only, that's all I need to worry about. Just the aura. Issei and Koneko stayed like this for about 20 minutes. With every minute that passed, Issei got even more aware of Koneko. She would move her hips sometimes, breathe on his neck, slide her hands along his side. Eventually, when she got off of him, Issei had about all of his blood in his head. His nose would have become a fountain if that continued any longer. Koneko. There, all done for tonight. Issei. Okay, thanks. I think it's time we go to sleep. I'm very tired. Koneko. Tired. But to me, you look very energetic. Issei. Hey. No joking about that. Koneko. Good thing I wasn't. Issei. I'm going to brush my teeth. Issei nearly had a heart attack. He assumed the curse was getting stronger. If it got much stronger, Issei wasn't sure he would be able to deal with her so easily. He was now very thankful that Venelana was coming in to study Koneko and see how to break this curse. Issei. Thinking the sooner, the better. Had gone to sleep pretty quick. He really had no intention of staying up for too much longer. He was tired from training, tired from the event in the bathroom and tired from the healing. However, it didn't feel he was asleep for very long before Issei was woken up by the sound of the door opening. Issei got up slowly, figuring it was Venelana coming in or out to check on Koneko. Issei got up slowly, moving Koneko away from him slowly so she wouldn't wake up. He managed to get out of the bed and see Venelana coming into the room. Venelana. Issei. You're awake. Issei. Yeah, I woke up with you coming in. I would have thought I would be out cold, but here we are. Don't let me stop you from your work here, I'll just observe. Venelana. Okay, this may work out better for us if I find something. Venelana walked up to where Koneko lay, still asleep. She created a magic circle Issei could only assume was an analysis spell to scan for any spells that have been placed on her. She moved the magic circle above Koneko, looking closely for anything not right. She created a smaller magic circle and released the spell. A purple cloud-like gas started flowing from the middle. She stopped the spell after about 3 seconds. Issei. What was that gas? Venelana. Simply a sleeping gas. This lets us touch Koneko-chan without waking her up. Issei. How will that help with this? Venelana. I think I know what spell is at play here, but I need to confirm it by having a look at the physical features that come with the spell, like the eyes you pointed out. Issei. Oh, okay. Didn't know this spell did that. Venelana checked Koneko's eyes. They were still hearts for pupils, but they were glowing in the darkness. This scared Issei for a second, as he thought that Koneko had woken up and the spell had gotten worse. Venelana continued on as normal, which eased Issei to think that everything was still fine. Venelana touched Koneko's arm and observed for any reaction. Issei heard a small moan come from Koneko and blushed. Issei. What exactly are you doing to her? Venelana. The spell makes the person extra sensitive everywhere on their body, however only to pleasure. Pain and any other feeling stays as normal. With this, I know what spell it is. It's definitely a spell that would have had to have been cast before coming here, as it takes time to fully activate. That's why it seems that the spell is getting worse, as it is further activating. Issei. Do you know how bad the spell is when it's fully active? Venelana. Let me put it like this. Do you like having time to do things? Issei. That bad huh? Venelana. Yes, very much so. Issei. Well, do you know a way to dispel it? Venelana. Yes, but you may not like it. Issei. What is it? Venelana. You have to imbue her with power as she you can guess the rest. Issei. Huh? Oh. You serious I have to do that? Venelana. If you like your classmate not becoming a prime succubus, then yes, you have to do that. Issei. Sigh I understand. However, it is a hard thing to ask me to do, as I have Ria's, and I feel as if that would be betraying her. Venelana. Then call her. Tell her the situation and my way to fix it. If she has any idea how to undo the spell any other way, get her to tell me and I'll see if it would actually work. Issei. Alright, well it's too late for it now. I should go back to sleep. Venelana. Good idea. However for you, the sooner the better. Issei. I know all too well. Venelana left the room and Issei got back into bed. He wasn't in for very long until Koneko wrapped herself around him. Issei was too tired to try and fight back, plus he was thinking hard about what Venelana had said. Issei would have to talk with Riaz about this. Part of him wanted to hope that there would be no other way to destroy the spell. However, he mainly wanted Koneko to be succubus spell-free. He didn't worry himself about it too much, as he quickly fell asleep. Tomorrow may be a very hectic and full day. Issei woke up the next day feeling somewhat refreshed. However, Koneko wasn't sleeping when he woke up. He actually didn't know where she was. Then when he tried to move to get out of the bed, he felt something touch his leg. Issei lifted up a sheet and, to no real surprise, Koneko was under there. However, what she was doing surprised him the most. She was trying to grind on his crotch. Issei. Koneko-chan, what are you doing? Koneko. Morning, Issei. I was giving you some service. Issei. Service? Since when do you give service? Koneko. Since yesterday, I suppose. Issei. Well, that's true, wait, but you shouldn't do that. Koneko. Why? You seem to be enjoying it. Issei. Okay, Koneko. Time for you to know your place. Silently, I'm sorry, Riaz, but it's for my own good and Koneko-chan's too. Issei pushed Koneko onto her back and started playing with her breasts. He tried not to let his emotions control him, but his vision was starting to play up, becoming fuzzy. He closed his eyes and just focused on touching her. He was rough, he didn't have the time or patience to be gentle. He thought to himself that Koneko had been a bit sly this whole time, about time he returned the favor. Issei slid one of his hands along Koneko's leg, brushing past her area deliberately every time. Koneko was starting to breathe heavier. Finally, Issei felt Koneko tensing, so he equipped his gauntlet and started creating power. Issei kept going until she went over, and the second she did, Issei poured all the energy he had created into Koneko. Koneko glowed a bright crimson color before eventually fainting. Issei. Breathing heavily, why must I be the one who has to go through this? Greg. Who knows? But what's done is done. You may as well call Venelana in here to check if the spell is broken or not. Issei. Yeah, good idea. Issei called Venelana and explained what had happened. It didn't take long before she came into the room to check on her. Issei had the decency to cover her up before she came in. Venelana. Well, this event came quicker than I thought. Issei. Much to my surprise as well. Do you think she is dispelled now? Venelana. Let me check again. Venelana cast her spell over Koneko again and went through the same process. When she finished, she turned to Issei with a disappointing look on her face. Issei. So? Dispelled. Can I find out who did this? Venelana. Unfortunately, the spell has not been outdone yet. I think for this to truly work, you will need to do this another few times. Issei. Sigh, damn it. Nothing ever comes easy, huh? Venelana. This is going to be hard for you, figuratively and literally. Issei. Monotone, I already have Koneko-chan making jokes about that, please don't join in. Venelana. Regardless, you will have to do this a few more times. However, what I can do for you is give you a place where no one will go, so you don't have to worry about being seen by anyone. I will make it so that it will deactivate when you have poured energy into her. Issei. Sigh, nothing is ever this easy, huh? Venelana. For your case, it would appear so. Issei got dressed while Koneko laid on the bed, still unconscious. When he finished getting ready, he headed over to her and gently woke her up. It took Issei a minute of trying before Koneko started stirring, eventually opening her eyes. She looked slightly confused at first. It was as if she didn't know where she was. Eventually, that look disappeared and she looked over at Issei. Koneko. Good morning, Issei. How long have I been out? Issei. Not long. Probably 5 minutes at most. Anyway, quickly get up and changed, we have another day of training to do. Koneko. Okay, I will. Koneko quickly got dressed and headed to breakfast with Issei. On their walk, Issei gave the armor crystal back to Koneko to use for today. She asked if he could place the crystal where it needed to go and, reluctantly, agreed. He walked behind Koneko, lifted her shirt up and placed the crystal between her shoulder blades. He put down her shirt and walked back beside her before turning the corner to the dining hall. They hadn't a lot of time left after the incident this morning, so they both grabbed something that could be eaten on the walk to the main courtyard. When they arrived, the circle was already made for them. They walked over to Surzich's and Venelana who were waiting for them. Issei. Sorry we are late. Surzich's. It's fine, Issei, we had just finished making the circle, so you got here at possibly the best time. Step inside and it will take you back to your training grounds. Issei. Thank you very much. Koneko. Thank you. Venelana. Koneko-chan. Can you wait in the circle, please? I would like to speak with Issei. Koneko. Alright. Issei, don't take too long. Venelana. Issei, I may have found out who cast the spell on Koneko. Issei. Seriously, who is it? I need to pay them a well-earned visit. Venelana. Well, you may want to think about how you approach this. The person who placed the spell on Koneko was Rias. Issei stood in shock as he heard this fact. He didn't know why she would do this or why she wouldn't at least tell him something may happen. He was frustrated, confused and surprised all at once. Issei. Why you're joking, please tell me you're joking. Then Alana. Unfortunately, I am not. I know Ria's spell signature well, and while she tried to hide that signature, she didn't do it well enough. Issei. I'm so confused. I'm a mix of different emotions, and I don't know which one is more dominant than the other. Then Alana. If I was in your shoes I would feel the exact same way. I feel sympathy for you. However, the best thing you can do right now is to go to training and pretend that you don't know. You will have a chance to talk with her, I guarantee. However, you must not show Koneko-chan that you are troubled by this, otherwise, it could lead to unnecessary complications. Issei. Okay. Breathe, stay calm and approach the whole situation as if I don't know anything. I'll get to talk to Rias later about all this, it can all be fixed. Thanks Alana. Then Alana. You're welcome. Now you should get into the circle yourself now. Issei. Yeah, you're right. I'll see you later then. Issei moved over to Koneko, who was waiting for him in the transportation circle. He stood, still shocked about the fact that Rias put a spell on her. There had to be a valid reason, there had to be. But he couldn't worry about it now. He had training to worry about first. He stood in the circle, the magic started to activate, and his vision was blinded. Issei arrived back at his training ground, however, he didn't have a dragon in his face this time. Instead, he had one in front of him and one behind him. He knew very well that this was going to be the beginning of the training. He equipped his gauntlet and placed Koneko's crystal on her back. It immediately equipped itself and gave her the full suit of armor, gleaming from a source of light. Issei activated Balance Breaker and promoted himself to a knight to get some shots in before they got too close. The dragons started to swoop down to attack them. Issei charged 2 shots and shot both dragons at once. Both the dragons staggered slightly but continued to charge them both. Koneko jumped at one of the dragons, while Issei charged another 2 shots for the other. When Koneko landed her punch, Issei fired his shots. He made sure to condense the shot down to make a laser, which put 2 holes in the dragon's wings, 1 hole in each. Koneko's punch had knocked the other dragon out of the sky. Now, both dragons were on the ground, suppressed by the 2. Issei had 1 shot charged, looking down at his dragon, while Koneko was looking over hers, her aura at a suffocating intensity. The dragons admitted their defeat. Koneko removed her armor and gave the crystal to Issei before he deactivated his balance breaker. They stood back to let the dragons up. Issei. So, how did we do? Dragon number 1. You very well surprised us both. You 2 pack a punch when you need to. Dragon number 2. Yes, you both came prepared after yesterday, huh? Issei. Of course. I'd rather not be a snack for one of you, even if this was training. Plus, I've got a reputation to upkeep. Koneko. Try not to let that reputation get to your head. Issei. What? When has anything gotten to my head? The 2 bickered for a second before remembering why they were there. They turned to the dragons and asked them to lead the way. They headed towards their training area again. Once they arrived, Issei and Koneko had a small talk with the other dragons. They decided who was gonna help them out. They decided to train separately for the first part of it, then they would come together afterwards and spar with whatever they learned. Issei. Well, this will make for some good competition. Koneko. Yeah, it will. I've been itching to have a fight with you again. Issei. Relax, it's just a sparring match. Greg. But it's nice to win everything you partake in, right Issei? Issei. That's beside the point. After their bickering again, they head off with a dragon each. Koneko went back to where they were transported to, and Issei was taken to some mountains to separate them. Issei remembered to give Koneko her crystal before leaving, but he wasn't sure how long the charge was going to last. But it's also convenient if the charge runs out, cause then she could work on fighting without it, which will also add to how strong she is with the suit. Issei. May I ask why we had to go to the mountains? Dragon. Thinner air. If you can fight with a lower amount of oxygen, it'll mean you won't get exhausted as easily as your opponents. But you'll be worked to the bone, I hope you realize this. Issei. I suspected as much. Just as long as I can be alright for the sparring and not in multiple pieces, I'll deal with anything you throw at me. Dragon. Good. Then your first task is for you to test your actions in situations. The dragon suddenly went into a roll, throwing Issei off its back. He fell towards the ground at speed, yelling. Then he activated his balance breaker and flew onto his back again. Issei. What the hell was that for? Dragon. Testing your reactions. I said this was part of it. Be lucky I didn't tell you to run all the way to the mountains. Issei. Sigh, that could have been done better. Dragon. And how do you figure that? The best way to test reactions is to take you by surprise, which is what I just did. If you have a better way of testing it, then I'm all ears. Issei. It couldn't have been something else to test reactions. Dragon. Life-threatening situations work best for reactions. You see who can compose themselves better and thinks of ways to fix the situation. You were very much a quick thinker there, so you have my praise. Issei sighs and they continue through the mountains. The dragon did throw Issei off a couple more times, however, each time Issei was quicker with activating his balance breaker and flying back up. He was annoyed and frustrated that the dragon was still doing it, but he understood the reasoning. Eventually, they reached the mountain. Surprisingly, the dragon didn't throw Issei off when they arrived. He let him off after they landed. They looked around. It was lightly snowing and there was definitely some wind. Issei struggled to stay on his feet when the odd powerful gusts came through. Issei. So this is it, huh? My training ground for today. Dragon. Yes, it is. Now, I remember you training with the previous Dragon King before. Well, I can't measure up to him, a few dragons should make things interesting. Issei. Sorry, a few dragons. But it's only us here. Dragon. So you think. The dragon roared and off in the distance, he heard the flapping of several pairs of wings. He activated his Speed Star Sonic mode from his illegal move tree in a set. He knew the firepower of these dragons, but now that there was 4 of them, he had no choice. He would rather not become a fried demon within the first hour of him being here. It didn't drain him nearly as fast as it did before, but it was still exhausting to use. He needed to only move when necessary to get the most out of the mode before the balance breaker would break. The dragon fired his shot and Issei moved quickly just out of the way. The dragons that he saw before had come within range and had started to spew fire at Issei also. It was a very long training session. Issei was on the ground, breathing heavily. The dragons were all gathered together to talk. This pissed Issei off a little, that they can go from slinging fire his way to happily chatting to each other within a few minutes. Issei. So when are we going back, dragon? When you regain your stamina and we go again. Issei. Grown seriously, that's how we are gonna do this. Dragon number 2. We haven't let off nearly enough steam. So sorry, but you will be our punching bag just once more. Issei. Fine, just let me have a few more minutes. Issei took all the time he needed to catch his breath and get his stamina back. He stood up and the dragons looked over at him, smiles creeping onto their faces. He activated his balance breaker and looked up at them. He would try with just his base form to see how it goes. The armor should hold up fine if fire happens to hit him, he just has to minimize how much that happens. He flies up to their height and waits for their attacks. The dragons decide to be clever and spit fire all at once, making a massive column of fire heading towards them. To retaliate, Issei made a small energy ball and fired it into the wall of fire, making a hole in it for him to comfortably fit through. The dragons were surprised. Issei. I think it's time I fought back a little. It's more fun when the punching bag punches back. Dragon. Well, just don't damage my wings. I'm your ride back. Dragon 3. I like the idea of you fighting back. Dragon 4. Well, let's see if you hold up to our expectations. Issei. Sure, let's. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support the ROBOBOY0712 the Snow Wolf for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. See you in the next video. Goodbye.